Forbes here, and the majority of you guys are on. So with that, we'll get started with Coach. You want to start with an opening statement?
Yeah, I would like to reiterate maybe what I said yesterday. I'm disappointed that the narrative this week going into Duke and North Carolina State is that we'd won 4 of our last 6 and, won our back-to-back road games in the ACC for the first time since 2009 and broke Florida State's 22 home game winning streak. The reason why that didn't happen was because we couldn't get a stop when we needed it. And I think the maturation of a team is to understand that games can be won, and a lot of times are won on the defensive end. It's about getting a stops or a stop to win a game. A year ago when we won 30, we won 3 games on the last possession defensively, not with the ball. Had a point guard, Isaiah Tisdale, that stole the ball from Wofford, jumped on it, won the game. Same guy took a charge on Isaiah Miller, won the game last possession, and then blocked a 3-point shot against Western Carolina. So I think, as a team, that's where we got to get is the mentality that, we have the lead, we got to protect it, and we got to win the game. And we didn't get that done. Disappointing on Saturday. Now that doesn't mean that our team didn't play well. Going back and watching the film, I was really proud of the way we played offense. We really moved the ball well. We executed the game plan as far as we ran motion, we spread it. We slipped a lot of screens because they were switching, and we double slipped and backdoored, and it was really it was a lot of movement, and it was taxing, and we played we played guys, but I think it wore them out too. I know it did because they told me that after the game they got tired, and so, and I think when you run good offense like that, it carries over to the other side because they have to defend you now. Their shots are a little bit harder. Florida State, as they showed last night, is an outstanding team. And what makes them, they're so big and they're so good defensively, but they make threes. That's what makes it so hard. They're shooting over 41% from 3. And so they made 12 on us. And that was a big factor in the game. But late in the game, we negated their size. They took all their size off the court and went smaller just, to be able to defend what we were doing. I thought Odi Aguama was outstanding. Not just scoring the ball, but being a ball mover. He made himself available. He cut hard, and I thought he was great. John Antonio was great. He made 7 threes, I think, something like that, or 6. I don't remember, but I think he only missed 1. And he's really blossoming in motion. He can really move without the ball. That's a lot of guys. When we look at offense, we always tend to look at the guys that can put it on the floor. And Jonah's really hard to guard because he really moves well without the ball. He knows who he is. He doesn't try to do things he can't do. Now, what happened, and sometimes is the other team then tries to take his touches away, and that's fine because that opens up drives for everybody else because that guy's not helping. So it all kind of goes hand in hand. Going back to the last play, it's just a philosophical and it's something that I believe in, and something that, knowing my team the way I know my team is what we're capable of doing. Some teams in the past have been able to set up in pressure, after a make, but this team, we're not a pressure team. We have a hard time keeping the ball in front of us. And so I'm not going to extend 94 or 90 feet to do that when we have the lead. I missed a trip to the Final Four because we weren't organized on a missed free throw at the end of the game against Michigan State in 2010. And they came down and we fouled with about a second to go, and they made 2 free throws because we weren't organized and played disadvantaged defense. Whenever we have the lead, I'm going to be off the line because I want to be organized. I want body on body. And that's where we were. We could have fouled if Ian would have made both, but when he didn't, it was either a decision to play 1-3-1 or play 50 black, which is switch. I didn't want to play 1-3-1 because it was only a 2-point game. I was afraid they might bang a 3 with their size and length. So we went 50 black and really had the ball cupped with 3 seconds to go. And unfortunately, Odie, he opened the gate and Barnes made a play. Odie's tremendous guarding the ball like that for a guy his size. I had all the confidence in the world he could do it. He just opened up a little too much. And it's my fault for not telling Ian to step up and pick up, Barnes after he made the free throw. I was looking down the court when Ian made the free throw, and I looked up. Ian was standing at half court, and he should have been up there on the free throw line to maybe make Scotty Barnes make a couple more dribbles. And so I believe if you make Scotty Barnes shoot that jump shot, he was 4 for 12 for the game. That's a really tough shot to make. Now, if he makes it, you shake his hand, but I think the odds have been a lot more in our favor if he had to shoot a jump shot than a layup. So we learn from it. We move on. We got Duke this week and NC State, and I'll open it up to any questions.
Speaking of
Steve,
Duke,
I guess off that part about Ian and trying to communicate to him or not. I guess how do you gauge as a coach when you're doing that in those final sequences? Because I know you're scouting stuff all the time.
Well, he had missed the first shot. I didn't want to cloud his head, and so Ian's gotten the line 14 times in 2 games, fellas. That's more in 2 games. Some of our guys have gone in 12, but he's only shooting 57%. And so I didn't want to, I didn't want to be, da 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 da, and then he's got to go shoot the free throw, and that's the other reason why I didn't want anybody up there, because I didn't know if he was going to make it, and then it's a 1-point game, and now you're really at this. Why would you be extended, right? So I was talking to everybody else, and so I think it depends on, the kid, and I should have reminded him, because then, hey, if we make it, step up there and pick him up. And I did. And Jalen probably could have been up a little bit more too to cup the ball, but I didn't. And so that's on me.
speaking of Duke, what was your reaction to Jalen Johnson opting out in the remainder of the year?
I don't have any reaction to that because I don't coach Duke, and I don't get involved in other people's, what's going on with their players. I don't know the details of it. And, I'm sure he made the decision that was best for him. And so I don't have any comment on that.
Kind of changes back you're looking at Duke from, you would have had to look at what Jalen Johnson meant to him for the past couple weeks, and then now you're just looking at the same team that you played a month and a half ago, right?
Right. I didn't, yesterday, to be honest with you, we just watched film of Duke from our game, so he wasn't on there. So now he was on, when we practiced yesterday, scouting report, and some sets and some things that they do. We talked about, what he could do, but that was it. And come on, they got really good players. I mean, they didn't need him to beat us the first time. And so, Matthew Hurt went 10 for 15. He played horse out there on the court. And, DJ Stewart was outstanding. And I felt like the game turned when they, I think 4 offensive rebounds in the first half, I believe, in 15 for the game. So they got 11 of those in the second half. And I think 9 offensive rebounds from their guards. And so I thought we got whipped on the glass. And so that's something we definitely have to correct. And honest truth is, guys, looking at the numbers, I'm pleased with our team rebounding wise in this league. We're about even. Now you'd like to obviously be plus, but due to our lack of size, and inside and some of these teams that we're playing, it means our guys are battling really hard. And I'm proud of them for that. That's a toughness skill. That's a toughness deal there. When you're not, overly, we don't have guys that go over the rim to go get it. We got to go get it. And I've been pleased with that. But I think Duke was probably Duke and Notre Dame were probably the 2 games we didn't rebound. And so we're going to have to rebound to have a shot to beat them.
One of the biggest differences between Duke the first time you saw them and what they are now is Mark Williams started to become a part of it. Mark Williams, and he started the last game and had a handful of blocks. Mm-hmm. And it seems that Duke is playing different stylistically with him in the lineup. What have you seen preparing for him?
I mean, I think, he started against us the first time. It was more, I think, early on, he'd get in there and he'd come out pretty quick. And they would go smaller. And they would go, they put Hurt at the 5 and, play a little bit more small ball. Now they can play a little bit bigger, and he's large. I mean, he's kind of like the whole team at Florida State. Florida State trots out there. You think you're playing in the G League there. I mean, they got some big dudes. And so, same way with him. Williams, he's big and he's mobile, and so I mean, and that's that's what happens with bigs. They take time. Guards are they come kind of ready to play. Bigs take time, man, and you never know when they're going to blossom, and that's why you got to continue to work with them. I'll use Emmanuel as an example. I don't know if I played him the first 2 or 3 maybe league games. I'm not even sure I put him in the game, but he kept showing it in practice, and and then for the maturation of our team, we needed to get away from small ball. I didn't want to play small ball, but it was kind of the hand I was dealt when. At the beginning when Odie was out and then Tariq's out, it's like, well, we got to play some way, but I think having Emmanuel come on defensively has really helped our team I think I'm sure they feel the same way, is that having him come on has helped their team, be able to play a little bit bigger.
It seems like Ian's obviously given your team quite a boost the last couple games. He's also logged like about 60 minutes during those 2 games combined.
Yeah.
How's he kind of holding up physically?
He's tired, but he's a good kid and he feels better. His conditioning is getting. I asked him that yesterday. How do you feel? And he said, I'm feeling better and better. We took Sunday off, which was probably good. I think what kids have to, and Davian's going through this too. Davian's playing a lot of minutes. Ian's playing a lot of minutes, right? And when you're not used to playing all the minutes, you have to work on what it takes to get yourself ready to play. So in other words, you have to work on recovery. You have to spend more time in the cold tub. You have to spend more time with the Normatec on your legs. And when you're not used to playing those numbers and those minutes, you don't do that. And so I think both of those guys are understanding that there's even a bigger commitment off the court to be able to play on the court, if that makes sense. That you have to really prepare your body on top of, oh, by the way, go to school, get good grades, be a good person, all those things. You gotta spend time, with GC, our trainer, or with Mike Starkey, our strength coach, getting your body prepared just to get through practice, to get through the games. And, typically this time of year, I'm going to go about an hour and a half, it's 2 hours a lot of times, but a half hour of that is film and stretching and, those kind of things that I don't really count. We usually go, then we kind of warm up. We go about an hour live out of that hour and a half, and it's taxing. And so, you got to stay sharp. If you don't, I just don't think you can stay sharp. And so I think Ian and especially Davian are having to learn how to manage their bodies. And I think Ian, he's done an incredible job. Guys, we went from Boston College to Tallahassee in a matter of a week, and he played a lot of minutes, and we all survived not getting pneumonia. I was really worried about Frank Davis, my director of basketball operations. He saw a pile of snow up there in Boston. He thought that was a mountain, and I explained to him that was a pile. I've seen snow over my house I've walked off a drift onto my roof of my house, Frank. So that's not mountains of snow. That's piles of snow. And then we went down to Tallahassee and got off the plane, and I was taking my sweatshirt off, and it was humid and it was 75. And I'm like, oh my God, so we went from two different weathers. And I would like to say this, my thoughts and prayers are with the people. And I think it was in Brunswick, had a tornado last night at night. That's a very scary situation. I grew up in Tornado Alley. I've lived in Kansas for a long time. And I can tell you at nighttime, that is a very scary proposition. I've been through it when the tornado comes through. And they're very destructive. And I know in the South, we're not always made, to have shelter. I'm used to having a basement, or a tornado room or something like that. And I know in the South, that's not the case. And so I remember the first time I was had heard a tornado warning in Louisiana, and they told me to get in the bathtub. And I'm like, what? The tub? I want to get under the ground, and so I feel for them, and my thoughts and prayers are with them.
Coach, kind of piggybacking off that with Ian, having him back in the lineup, how important is he to your offense, having that other guy out there?
Wow.
Hey, Coach, I think I heard a question from JD Ricks, I believe it was. Can you hear us?
Coach?
Can you hear us?
I
Coach
don't think you
Forbes.
can hear.
I can hear now. I'm sorry.
Hey, Coach.
Hey,
Just kind of piggybacking off Les' question about Ian. Just how
Yeah.
important is he having that extra guy out there on the offensive end? I mean, he's got to be huge for your offense.
huge. I mean, he's a really good player, and he's another guy that can handle the ball against pressure. And I was alluding to that as he was out, and we were having our struggles against pressure and zone. I was like, we need another handler. We're missing the guy that can gap the defense. And that's the other thing when we're running motion and you're constantly moving and you're moving the help and all of a sudden now Ian drives it. There's no help because everybody's in movement. And so it's opened up the floor for him too. And he makes just enough threes that you got to guard him at the 3-point line. And so, I think that it's been incredible to have him back. And he's a good kid. And I think the players really like him too. Now, I think, with him, with the lack of conditioning and we're running motion, it's hurt him defensively a little bit. He's not where he needs to be yet, but I wouldn't expect him to be, considering all that he missed. And that was the conversation I kept having with him before he played when he was practicing. Look, it's not November, Ian. Okay. It's February. All right. You've missed a lot. Don't put that kind of pressure on yourself. I don't put that pressure on him. Just go out there and play, and so it's been great to have him back. And I know his teammates enjoy having him back as well.
You said you didn't want to play as much small ball as you did or you had to play. And I'm looking at some of the numbers. You're over 40% of your shots are from three. Actually, I think it's closer to 45%. That's far more than anything you had at East Tennessee State. So Ideally, give us a sense when you're right, whether that's this year or moving forward and years from now, what you ideally want your style to be.
I mean, Josh, when I say small ball, I'm talking more defensively than offensively.
Gotcha.
We were having a harder time. I should have said that. We were having a harder time defending the 4 and a 5 when we were smaller and rebounding. So I guess when I said that, I was really thinking more defensively. I knew from the beginning of the year, and I told you guys, we're gonna have to make a lot of threes, right? I knew that. Typically, my teams have always shot a really high percentage from the field, and it's been a pretty good balance between 2 and 3. We shot a lot of threes, but probably not as many as we're shooting this year. But I knew we were going to have to have a chance, and we've been in it pretty much every game for the most part, the whole year. And a lot of it's been, we've been able to make some threes and we made 13 on, is that right? I think 13 on Saturday. And, so in all fairness to your question, I was thinking more how we were defending than on offense. And I think offense changes year to year, on what you have. You recruit offense, you coach your defense. And, but I won't change in motion. I think it's just more where the shots are going to come from by the strengths of your team. I would like to throw the ball to Odie more. And I would like, as he gets older, I'd like to continue to pound it in there to him and get him. I think he'll get better and better, as he gets stronger and more experience. I think Isaiah Mucius can play in and out. And I think he's got to take advantage of smaller guys. Example, he slipped that screen. We only ran 2 plays, I think, the whole game. One, we laid it up for Odie. And the other one, we ran a Ricky play or a rescreen play. And I told him they're probably going to switch it. And Zay slipped it and got it right at the basket. Now I felt like he needed to put that in the hole. And he tried to throw it out to the hammer to Davian for 3. And Davian wasn't even in the hammer. He was in the wrong place. And we turned it over. But to me, I think that's where Zay, again, at his size, needs to finish, make a play. And so that's probably where we're headed. But I've always liked to shoot the 3. I like to play faster, and I like to play a little more inside out, but again, I think you got to coach to your personnel, man. And if you don't, you're hard-headed and you're not doing justice to your team. You're not putting them in the best position to win. And ultimately that's what it's about. It's like losing on Saturday. I would have been a disservice to my team to go in there and tell them. I mean, I was hard on them, and because 10 years from now, that game's going to say loss. There's not going to be an asterisk. I said, oh, we played well, and we lost at at the buzzer. It's a loss. It's a win or a loss, and so you learn from it and you move on.
Steve, asking about Ian again, not to say his transition back has been easy, but like heard you and other coaches just talk about the conditioning aspect.
Yeah.
He somehow found this way to make the impact he has so far, and I wonder why you think that is. If it's his style of play,
Yeah.
if it's
what is it? The other thing is he didn't come right back and play, right? I think he was back the day before Miami, and then if you think about it, he didn't play in Notre Dame. Then we had 8 days off until we played Boston College. So he probably had a little more time than some of the guys, but they hadn't been off as long as him either. Okay. His pause was it was pause, stop, and he couldn't do anything. Right. I mean, nothing. Like if I saw him doing anything, I'd tell him to go sit down. And so, I think it's, those things are probably a little bit individual, depending on the person and how they react to conditioning. And I wouldn't say that, no offense to Ethan, I don't think he's the most well-conditioned athlete in the world, but he works hard at it and he plays hard. And Ian's one of those guys that pushes himself to the limit and then he comes out. Like yesterday, I looked over and he'd be like what Les would be at practice on the first day, first 5 seconds. He had his hands on his knees and his head down, because he was tired. I'm okay with that. Maybe some guys don't push themselves to exhaustion. I think our guys do. I think we're in pretty good shape, and that's a credit to them and a credit to Mike Starkey. We lift 3 times a week still right now, and we continue to do that all the way through. And I think my teams have gotten stronger and tougher at the end of the year because we go that way, and we practice hard. We don't come in and roll out the balls and drink some milkshakes and eat bonbons. We practice. And so I think it's a mentality too, but it's credit to him. I don't even know what a bonbon is. I'll be honest with you. It just kind of came out of my mouth. I don't know if I've ever had one. Probably not. But he's done really well with that. Really well with that.
Coach, what is the key Wednesday to keeping Duke off the offensive boards, especially at the guard position where DJ Stewart really hurt you so bad last time? And if you don't like bonbons, then what is your favorite theater candy then?
Theater candy? Oh, that's a great question. I'm a Mike and Ike guy. I like Mike and Ike's. My wife likes popcorn with chocolate. Like she throws like Hershey Kisses in there. I like popcorn too. Like I'll eat popcorn at night right now. So that's just right off the top. Oh, wait. I like, we call them sweet tarts and sprees too. I like those too. What was the real question?
Keep the guards off the boards, especially Stewart.
Well, you got to work on it. You got to demand. And this is the thing about blocking out guards, right? You sight check. What does that mean? Well, when he shoots it, you got to sight check him. Is he going to the glass or is he running back? And if he doesn't take a step towards you, then you go get the ball, right? But if he's coming, you got to check him. And I think what happens with guards a lot of times is they just don't check out. They turn and watch the ball. They don't sight check their guy, and they hope the ball comes to them. You got to rebound down. But rebounding down means if your guy's coming in there like DJ or one of them, you got to put a body on him. Okay. And that's, I think, is the difference in some teams aren't, some teams, they're good at that. Some teams aren't, and that's something you got to work on. And the other thing is a lot of teams, how many of those are in transition? Not too many teams work on blockouts and defensive transition. Those are hard blockouts because you're not set. And so I think having a nose for the ball too is really important. And that's where that 50-50 thing comes into play, identity-wise, is, like, for instance, really truthfully, guys, we could talk about the last play, but the play before that was a big play too. I called timeout to get the defense set, and I called it after his first free throw because I wasn't sure if he was going to make the second free throw, and just being honest. And I needed to get a stop. We needed to be organized on defense, and we forced MJ Walker to. We did a great job. He got off his feet, was in the air. He's about to chuck up a bad shot, and Davian's in the wrong place. He's not in the gaucho. He's outside the lane, standing by his guy, and his guy back cuts him. Now he gets a hand on it, but if he's in the right spot, there's no back cut. And he gets his hand on, but then the ball is loose on the floor. That's a 50-50 ball. Let's get that one. And they foul us instead of us fouling them. So now, Davian, maybe you're going to the line. Maybe you're a little better free throw shooter too. I don't know. You never know late in the game, right? You should really track the guys. I was big on that at East Tennessee State. If you really want to look at a guy's free throw percentage, check it out the last 4 minutes of the game compared to the first 36. I'm not good at math, but I'm pretty sure that's 36. Because I have had guys like that, late in the game, we're making them, right? And Davian's pretty much like that. And so that's, to me, is the game. And that's those kind of plays, like those 50-50 balls, because those balls like that, when those guards those are a lot of times they're like that. And that's when you got to rebound down and you got to want the ball.
Have you had a chance to watch what Coach Hoover has been doing with the women's program?
No. And that's not anything different. When I was at Tennessee, I don't think I ever saw Tennessee play a live game. And I go to watch practice with Pat. I've been lucky. I worked 3 national championship women's coaches, Pat, Leon Barmore, and Gary Blair. I love working with Jen. I think she's awesome. I'm pointing at her office right here. She's right over here. But it's hard during the season, and truthfully on Sundays, I use that to look at some film of our team, and I try to be a husband and a father if it's a day off. I've worked hard at that over the years. I've always been good at that. But I'm very proud of them, and I'm so happy for her and her team, and I hope great things happen down the stretch for them, and I want them to get in the NCAA tournament because I know they've worked hard for that, and I know they're having a heck of a year. And I just with COVID too, I just haven't been able to. I haven't gone to a game. And I think a lot of times our schedules don't we're not always on the same page with that. So, but I do see them here in the Shaw, and really excited for her and her program.
Steve, I'm curious if you watched the Florida State Virginia game last night.
I didn't. I had my world renowned radio show where a lot of things are hashed out, and I'm not, and there's a lot of thought provoking subjects that Stan Cotton and I talk about. I know it's tough. There's only one more left. I'm not sure what people are going to do without me being there. And I think it's interesting. You get a look at me on Zoom while I'm talking. It's quite a deal. It was done at 8. Now, Stan was keeping me updated on the score, and sounded like Florida State looks like maybe we pissed them off, and, they were ready to play. I'm not surprised that they could play like that. I think they're really good. And I think they have the type of team that could win a national championship if they could get on, get some rhythm and get playing. They play and they stop, and they play and they stop. Their size is a issue, okay? And not only is it an issue, they can make baskets. That is a problem. That doesn't always equate. A lot of times big teams don't score it great. Gonzaga can score it great, and they're big. Florida State can score it, and they're big. They just got to get, they got to get some rhythm going. And so I wasn't, the result didn't surprise me, and maybe the margin. No, I got off my wife didn't feed me before the radio show, so I was famished, and you could tell I've missed a lot of meals. So I had to eat. And then I think the last 8 minutes of East Tennessee State versus Chattanooga on ESPN3 stream. I think I was on that. And maybe watching something on the television. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, I didn't watch it. I'd already seen enough of Florida State. I didn't need to have any more nightmares. And got to get ready to play Duke.
Anything else for Coach, guys?
I had a quick thing. You mentioned tornadoes, and you mentioned you in Louisiana. Did you ever have any damage done to your home due to a tornado?
Yeah. When I was in Great Bend, Kansas, the kids were little. Jonathan wasn't born yet. Just Liz and Christopher. Christopher was in the crib, and Liz was small. We were getting our roof redone, and that night and that day, and the half of it was finished, half of it wasn't. I don't think we had a tornado. We had straight line winds about 100 miles an hour, and it ripped off the roof of my house that was partly covered. And so my wife and I were in bed, and we had water shooting out of the ceiling fan. And I went running for the kids, and I grabbed them, and I had them like this, and I was running to the basement. By the time we hit the basement, the roof flipped off. And so we lived in a hotel for 3 months with 2 little kids and a cat at that time. And so I don't think it was a tornado. It was just more straight line winds, but it was scary. I've been in a lot of tornado warnings. My biggest fear is on the road. I've been in some tornado situations out driving, recruiting, scared of living the hell out of you. One that went in front of me, one that went kind of by me, and the one in Kansas, the car was going like this. I mean, it was about to flip over. And so I've strategically driven down the road many times looking for a place to run if I had to, when the weather's bad. And so and I will tell you this, I signed Chris Jones at Northwest Florida the day of the Tuscaloosa tornado. And I drove from Niceville, Florida to Memphis. And if you guys know that route, that goes right through Birmingham, shoots up through Alabama. I drove right through those tornadoes that day. And I've never seen clouds that low in my life. I mean, I swear I could have reached out and touched the clouds. And I knew what was going on around me. I just didn't know what to do. Like, do you stop? Well, you're going to stop. Where are you going to stop at? You're going to go to a hotel? Well, they don't have a basement, So I just kept calling friends of mine along the way. I shot through a gap right into Memphis. By the time I got to Memphis is when the tornado hit Tuscaloosa. And so I'd gone right through there. And I guess for me, it's been more out on the road maybe than at home. Recruiting that's probably in the spring. It can be a little scary at times.
All right, that'll wrap you up, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. That's crazy.
See you, boys.